22 degrees Celsius here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome to your daily dose of sunshine, Sunrise Daily. I'm Maupe Oguyusu.
And I'm Ayo Makin. It's 26 degrees here in Lagos. It's much warmer here in Lagos. So anyway, today is July the 28th. And well, for those who are still counting down, congratulations. For those who have stopped counting down, again, congratulations. It's a Tuesday morning and you're welcome to the show.
I don't know what they're counting down to, or those who are counting and not counting. Well, I do know, however, that this month has been quite a mixed bag. Some issues have popped up quite interesting. There have been a few wins this month for Nigeria as a whole. A case in point would be the miraculous rescue of the children from Orire and their teachers. Never mind that we also lost some teachers and security personnel in the process. So it's been a mixed bag. We've also recorded some wins here in the FCT. There was a whole commissioning thing that was going on. As a matter of fact, it looks like it might soon start again with the minister of the FCT warning those who do drag racing, who like to race on the newly built roads, that would not be tolerated. I think it remains to be seen how that will be enforced. But Ayo, this morning, I'd like to bring up one issue which has been, I think that's where we're going to start from this morning. We already have our guest seated. He's no stranger to our studios, and I do know that a lot of Nigerians love to listen to him. Majid Dahiru joins us now. He is a technical member with the Luxter Leadership Foundation. He's right here. Good morning, Majid. It's good to see you as always.
Thank you very much.
And let's start with this issue, the issue of the DSS recording quite a number of victories. I mean, if we have followed the recent trajectory of the DSS under its new leadership, well, it's no longer new, it's been there for quite a while now. They have taken to the courts for any issue that they have. If they are upset with something someone has written, if they think that what you have written was dishonest, if they are upset with what it is that you've done locally in trying to upset the Nigerian security system, the way they go is the court. And fortunately for them, they have been securing wins in Nigeria's court of law. The latest victory, which we saw the DSS take, was that of the conviction of Ansaru commanders, whom we understand were involved in the kidnap of the children in Orire. Now, the questions have arisen as to when were these people prosecuted? Were Nigerians following the court process? It's unclear whether those were old people old group of suspects who they already had in connection with the release of these children, because people have said the time space is really small, but that's not the real story. The real story is that the court sentenced them to life imprisonment. However, the DSS is appealing. One would have thought, okay, that was a judgment in their favor and in the favor of Nigerians. But clearly, it did not quite carry the sentiments that a number of Nigerians felt should be meted out to those who have visited terror on the land. And the DSS is now appealing that judgment and taking it to a higher court, that what should actually be meted out is the death sentence. And that's what they're asking for. It's a different trajectory altogether. It's a new type of appeal altogether. What were your thoughts when you heard this particular story coming from the DSS, one of the foremost intelligence agencies in the nation?
In the country.
Yeah.
It simply underscores the seriousness of the federal government going forward, about its resolve to take the battle, to take the war to the terrorists, and make sure that enough deterrence is put in place so that anyone that be terrorists who wants to take the life of Nigerians without say that, unlike what was obtainable before, we don't get to you like our siblings, we don't get to you like prodigal children that should be forgiven. We're not interested in rehabilitating you. The full wrath of the law should be made to serve justice for the victims, for the country, and for the Nigerian people in general. This is a very commendable step. In fact, the fact that they got justice by way of life sentence, but I've said no, we want death penalty, simply underscores the seriousness of federal government going forward. And anybody that wants to die should continue terrorism and acts of terror across the country. And also said the message clearly that if you take one Nigerian life through acts of terrorism, you will pay for it your own life. I think if previous governments have been this resolute and firm, probably, as was the case in other jurisdictions, by now we would have taken the war on terror to a conclusive level where Nigeria would have returned to normalcy. You highlighted the fact that this seems to happen under the tenure or under the leadership of Tosi Ajayi. We're still calling the new DSS DG. But like you said, he's been close to 3 years on that seat. Yes, if you know him very well and his antecedents, he's somebody I've described severally as a warlord in Yellow House. I think he's not just a thoroughbred professional, but I think he's a very committed and patriotic Nigerian heading a very sensitive government agency. I say this because people have headed this agency before, and we didn't see this level of resoluteness. But in the 8 years of the previous administration, we didn't see this. The last time we saw something close to this was during Itai Youngstown too, when we saw the DSS swooping on a lot of these wannabe jihadists across the country and taking them out. We've seen a return to that era now with a much more vigor that is required now that Nigeria has become a playground for terrorists. So this is commendable, and of course we must commend the president too for backing the DSS to do this. Because if the political interference becomes overbearing, he can't do what he's doing. So whatever credit we are giving to DSS must also go to the President and Commander-in-Chief. I say this because I have criticized the government severally for not doing this. And so for them to have decided to do this now, to underscore the gravity of the crime of terrorism, is what the DSS has done on behalf of the federal government, on behalf of the Nigerian people, to say, look, these people have taken lives and they must be made to pay for it. If you look at the argument of the DSS, the Orire school abduction is linked to the group where these 2 gentlemen that have just been sentenced to life imprisonment are leaders. They were arrested some time ago during a DSS operation, and they've been going through interrogation. And from what I understand, the DSS carries out very clinical investigation with surgical precision, so that when they get to court, the evidence is overwhelming. It's just too overwhelming that the will of the, how do you call it now, the will of the judiciary does not grind slowly in this instance. It is speedy trial, which is very commendable because we are in an emergency situation. Now, this same group abducted our children and their teachers and slaughtered all of them in cold blood, in the most dastardly manner, because they wanted the release of this same gentleman. That was their demand. They did that because they wanted the release of the gentleman. So it is only right, it's only in compliance with natural justice that after the federal government managed to secure the release of these children and their teachers, the perpetrators, and on whose behalf this crime was perpetrated, should not live to tell the story. So this is right, it is commendable, and I think again it underscores the seriousness of the government going forward. We hope and pray that this is sustained across the board.
Well, we'll wait and see if the Court of Appeal. This is very interesting. That I still find it quite interesting. I wonder how this is going to play out in the Court of Appeal when the lawyers go before their lordships to say, yeah, we won the case, but we're not satisfied.
Yes.
So I wonder if that has ever happened, and it'll be interesting to get the perspective also of lawyers on this. We're not satisfied with the judgment that was given.
We want the maximum penalty.
We want the maximum penalty, and it will be very interesting to see how the lordships react. But then, I was also reading a very interesting article written by Premium Times in terms of the dilemma that Nigeria faces with capital punishment. Here we are now trying to sign up to treaties that ban or that prohibit capital punishment. There are religious organizations. I do know that the Catholic Church is one of them that has been asking, countries around the world to to review their use of the capital punishment, that it shouldn't lie in the hands of human beings to take the lives of fellow human beings, etc., etc. And we have also seen here in this country how even when the capital punishment is prescribed and a judge reaches that conclusion of capital punishment, we've seen governors who have been reluctant to sign off on the capital punishment for the people who have been so convicted. And so you find those convicts in prison for, God knows how long. In some instances, some of them even become lords. We have found instances where, people who were convicted on the capital punishment find their faces on billboards in our country, being celebrated by members of their groups. Some of the things that we see in our country is mind-boggling. But these are things that we have seen. So, do you think that in this instance, I wonder whose prerogative it will be to sign off on this judgment? Because it is the federal government that has prosecuted this particular matter. Usually, we know that in cases of murder and robbery, it is the a state government that prosecutes, and usually the responsibility of the governor of that state to sign off on it. In this instance, I don't know if you have an idea of whose responsibility it is to sign off on it, and should we really be caught in this dilemma given where we are as a country?
No, I don't think so, because we must prioritize our national security first and foremost, above any other consideration. So all treaties can wait, all other constitutions can wait. We are a country at war with itself, where we are losing more lives, perhaps much more than places that are officially at war. And to bring this situation under control, we need to deploy the full might of the state, and where judicial intervention is required, we need the maximum penalty for such offences in order to serve as deterrence against other wannabes. And so, in this case, Nigeria must now prioritize its national security first and foremost. Nigeria must exist first. We can begin to sign treaties. So if you continue to show this line, and people have the hope that when they go out and kill people in tens and hundreds and thousands, there's a possibility that they will not die, they'll be in prison and be fed all their lives, and by the time we come that they might even be given some kind of pardon under provincial clemency. It will encourage them to continue to do that. And Nigeria might not exist or live to regret this story. So for me, we must consider Nigeria's national interests first above all other considerations. And all authorities from the state to the federal government are responsible for carrying out, for executing judicial interventions that may have pronounced the maximum penalty for offences after conviction, must, without wasting time at all, sign the relevant warrant for the execution. You know why? Again, we are at war. It becomes a sacred duty on elected officials, particularly governors and the president, to at this time act as war commanders, as commanders-in-chief in such a situation by speedily executing anybody that has been found guilty and convicted along this line, so as to show clearly that government is not just serious, but has demonstrated seriousness. I'll give you another example. Look, Saudi Arabia 1978, there was a siege on the Grand Mosque of Mecca by people that have similar orientation with the Lakulavas and the Boko Harams of this world. Those who wanted to change the status quo of Saudi Arabia, who felt Saudi Arabia was not Islamic enough. So they plotted for many years undetected, and then they seized the Grand Mosque during Hajj season in 1978. So a serious standoff. After trying to get them to release the hostage, because foreign nationals were held hostage in the Grand Mosque, and they refused, the government of Saudi Arabia evacuated Mecca and its environs for 3 weeks, invaded the mosque, along with collateral damages, were able to neutralize the assailants, and their leaders were arrested, tried, and hanged publicly. And since 1978, we've not had any successful plot of such nature in Saudi Arabia till today. We must take that example, because we are suffering something similar, but even in multiple folds that happened in Saudi Arabia. In the case of Saudi Arabia and the 1978 siege on the mosque, it was one group and one ideology. In Nigeria today, we can't count the number of jihadi groups that are operating in this country. We can't count it. So please, we must consider Nigerian national interest and justice for the victims. In the United States of America, up till today, there are still some states that still uphold the death penalty. And usually, when someone is to be executed for say murder, the family members of the victim come there to witness so that they can get closure that the state has provided justice for their loved ones and for themselves. The Nigerian state must commence in earnest to provide justice for us. So that those who want to do this will see that you will die if you do this. And those of us that have been victims will also be rest assured that the government indeed is there for us. It's a constitutional matter. They all swore to uphold the Constitution. And the primary responsibility of government under the Constitution is position of security and welfare. Right? So in furtherance of national security, this must be done, this must be executed, and this must be sustained. The technical for terrorism must be sustained in Nigeria.
I know that Ayo might want to come in on this conversation. What I don't know is if she wants to continue this line, if she wants to bring another topic. But Ayo, over to you.
I think if we are to continue on this particular conversation, we'll be calling for a symposium because the issues are just endless. Because you remember, we are also still talking about the state police. Maybe I should just take you on that one very, very quickly before we go on, Mr. Dahiru. We're still talking about the state police initiative. Governors are not, they don't have that power yet because the law is not active. Now, with an active state police law, where we have state police at the subnational level, help us understand how this will play out, because some of the issues will still arise. The arrests are still going to be made along this particular line and all of that. We understand the federal level. The states, will they be able to do exactly the same thing according to the proposition that you're making now, especially given the conversation that's ongoing? Add to that the colors or the coloration of, or rather political coloration given to some of these issues from time to time. How do you see that being sustained? I mean, it is understood your position of the need for that capital punishment. But how about the political interference that sometimes bends, if I can use that term, such decisions?
Okay, let me start with the political decisions sometimes that might bend such decisions, like you rightly pointed out. It should be discouraged. You see, we should not politicize national security because we are all victims. And Nigeria may not survive it for so long. We've seen the politicization of national security for 8 years under the Buhari administration. I've said it severally and without apologies, that look, there was a heightened sectionalism in that country that saw politicization of national security to the point where it became monstrous, and this government is now trying to combat it. So this government must, as much as possible, depart from that. Allow the professionals, the intelligence community, the armed services to lead while the commander-in-chief provides leadership. There should be no political constitution. What is required is to restore order and normalcy so that Nigeria can function as a country under law, where law and order is upheld without fear or favor on the basis of ethnicity, religion, or partisanship. Now, on the issue of state police, that itself is also another commendable step by the federal government. And what we don't understand is that by initiating the establishment of state police by the Tinubu administration, President Tinubu can be said to have taken the first step towards committing class suicide. I said it because there's no president before him that ever agreed to concede that power of policing to subnational levels. No president before him even considered it at all. But the fact that the state police creation itself is going via an executive bill to the legislature and is being guided by the president and the executive arm of government shows that for the first time in many years, we have seen a president that is trying to prioritize national interest over and above personal or partisan interest, and that will be commendable again, because for critics like us who criticize government, it is for them to do the right thing, and when they do the right thing, we have a duty to commend them so that they can know that when you do the right thing and get commendation, it is more sustainable that way to continue to do the right thing. Now, Nigeria is a country of over 100,000 square kilometers of land mass and a population of about 200 million, with a multidimensional security challenge confronting this country. It is quite clear that federal arsenals, federal assets, federal manpower, federal resources, as we speak, are no longer able to contain the rising challenges of insecurity. Combined in numbers, our armed forces, including defense and internal security agencies are less than 1 million in terms of staff strength, far less than 1 million. And the federal government too is very difficult to actually man the entire country on its own. So it is very much in order that the power of policing has been devolved to the states, along with other things. Do not forget that before now, the state governments have their own judiciaries, and there are state laws, and there are federal laws. And you also have the states now giving the power to run correctional facilities. So with state police coming in, I think it's just an icing on the cake to further make our federation strengthened and balanced. One way that the state policing initiative can help national security is the increase in numbers. By the time the state governments across the systems of the federation recruit people, men and officers and men into their police force, men and women, the young and the old, into their respective police force, it will boost the number of armed service personnel across the country. And also it would enable state governors to live up to their reputation or their designation as chief security officers of the state, where we can now hold individual governors responsible to some extent for security within their jurisprudence, within their jurisdiction, I mean. Therefore, this is a very good initiative. And when it comes to federal crimes, the federal policing system will always collaborate with the state policing system to unravel and tackle federal crime. So you still have a situation where the DSS, the federal police, the NDLEA, the immigration, we still have collaborative effort with state policing and local police authorities in combating crime. And when it's a federal crime, for instance, the federal police agency will simply take it up to for judicial intervention. If it's a state crime, it remains in the state. So there will be collaboration. And I think the bill that is presented to the National Assembly takes care of these areas of collaboration so that we can have a smooth takeoff of the state policing system. The only thing we can do now, people, is to appeal to the conscience of our governors. To say, look, please, do not make a mess of this initiative as you have made of so many other.
What one can say about that, my apologies, Mr. Dairu, for butting in. I think what one can say is, I mean, you already made it clear. Once the issue becomes law, the sentiments of this collusion, I think, might be moderated. And that the issues are quite clear, stacked up. But let me quickly go to another issue. And I think I'm going to be merging a couple of things together. The fake agency issue is still thriving. It's still on the front burner. EFCC, I beg your pardon, ICPC has an assignment on that. But ICPC has also done some investigation that exposed another gap, maybe similar to that of the fake agency that we now, as we now call it. 908 ghost workers in the federal civil service, and if you find out the list of agencies that are involved here, Nigeria Police Force, in the Nigeria Police Force, the ICPC flagged 570 names. Water Resources Authority suspected 80 ghost workers, 56 in the Federal Ministry of Works, Foreign Affairs Ministry, 24 Ministry of Defense, 19, on and on and on and on like that. In both instances, clearly there are systemic gaps. How long it has been for, that's another thing altogether. Because for anyone to include the names of anyone at all in the IP system, which of course many people have said has its gaps, there have to be certain individuals who have the power to do so. What are your thoughts on this? What are we missing? And what are your expectations of the findings when the EFCC, and the ICPC report is out on both issues?
Okay, well, one thing we must understand is that the way Nigeria is configured, Nigeria's security units are structured along ethnogeographic fault lines, which in turn has given rise to a political process that is heavily dependent on identity of ethnicity and religion. And so the leadership recruitment process in Nigeria is heavily dependent on these two sentiments. And unfortunately for us, the reward system, and this is very important for us to take note of, the reward system for identity politics is corruption. They call it petroleum, but it is corruption. And that's why in Nigeria, corruption is cultural. it is religious and administered by government. And ICPC and EFCC cannot conclusively tackle corruption in Nigeria. It will require a rerouting of our political process, a reconfiguration of the state itself for such corrupt practices that rear its head once in a while and are discovered for it to be conclusively tackled. I say this because for as long as Nigeria has existed, we'll be battling with the issues of ghost workers, both at the center and federal level. And no amount of technology has been able to help us tackle these issues. Nigeria is the only country that defies the law of gravity when it comes to functionality of government affairs and day-to-day running of government administration. Nigeria is the only country because the people involved, the human factor, is such that corruption is cultural in nature in Nigeria. Somebody somewhere may have been appointed into a position, and that phenomenon of prebendalism that characterizes political officials in Nigeria is such that an average Nigerian appointed or elected public official has a sense of entitlement over his area of responsibility. He feels that responsibility that is being given is going to benefit and extract from for himself and his own section of the country. This is the grand reason for some of these things we are saying. And we'll continue to see all of these things, ranging from corruption, economic and financial crimes, ghost workers, to even ghost agencies. As you have seen in the case of the current saga going on, is it the FCP or what you call it? These are the causative factors. And the point is, you'll be surprised to hear that nobody might be brought to justice for this act. Because somewhere, somehow, these things satisfy certain cultural tendencies that is corruption in nature, but is politically relevant. So even the Nigerian police force, for instance, that's supposed to be the harbinger of law and order, that's supposed to be above all as Caesar's wife, is not from this corruption of ghost worker syndrome. So it's important for us to begin to take a deeper look at how the Nigerian state is configured. Otherwise, we will keep having this conversation from time to time, and it will get worse. So we're now having a situation that has escalated from having ghost workers to having entirely ghost agencies, with somebody putting the face to it and insisting that this agency is actually in order and has been witch-hunted. That's the story of Nigeria. I don't know what will happen next. Maybe we'll have a ghost state and ghost local government in the future if nothing is done about this.
To that, Mr. Dairu, but very quickly before Malcolm takes over, just yesterday, the ICPC may have kind of diagnosed one of the reasons that these things are able to happen. For instance, a director with the ICPC revealed yesterday that one of the things that they have found out in the ICPC from just 3 agencies that they investigated found out that the federal character law, that is the federal character principle that's supposed to be instilled in the recruitment processes, that a good number of agencies, particularly the ones that they investigated, have violated, that rule, that compliance, federal character compliance has been faulted by the ICPC. Now, if we have a rule, such a rule that is supposed to guide employment, and those things aren't happening, I don't know where do we want to lay the blame right here now? Because even in the office of the head of civil service or civil service commission, they have ghost workers there.
Look, give a typical example of the issue of violation of federal character. Right now, you have somebody who's contested to be the governor of Gombe State. His name is Sheikh Isa Ali Pantami. He wants to be the governor of Gombe State. And before now, he has held positions at the federal level. He was DG NITDA and he was Minister of Communications. Part of the things he's using to campaign is that he influenced, take note of the word, influenced over 700 plus jobs and projects to Gombe State when he was heading these 2 ministries and departments. Influenced. Influence peddling is a corrupt practice. And in influencing this, I looked at somebody published the list of the projects and jobs indeed. And I discovered that my state, for instance, didn't have as much as Gombe State. I'm sure your state, more state too, may not have had as much, because you don't have the privilege of having a minister for communications or DG of NITDA. So definitely, federal character was violated in the process of him influencing these things for his state. And today he's running on that to be governor, and he's very popular in the state. People see him as a typical success story or somebody went to Abuja and brought something back home. So because of this prevalence in prebendalism, it is even difficult for state institutions to prosecute such offences. It's almost impossible because almost everybody is involved. Probably if you probe ICPC too, you might also discover violation. You may discover violation of the federal character by some appointed authorities within the agency who must also take something home where they come from, where they are appointed. So this level of corruption in Nigeria is a cultural problem that is political in nature. And as a people, we must come together to roll back the wheels of identity politics, replace it with true liberal politics that will substitute corruption for good governance as a reward system. In fact, even the Federal Character Commission has not been free of corrupt practices and allegations. You remember a case of one of the heads of that agency that was said to be selling jobs at a premium. So, look, everybody simply is feasting for wherever they find themselves, including in agencies that are supposed to fight corruption in this country and ensure equity, fairness, and justice.
You know, sometimes when you just sit and you hear stories as a journalist or even as a Nigerian, most Nigerians, have the privilege of being able to just go about their duties. Journalists, on the other hand, this is a job that we have taken. We have a front row, seat to every conversation. And you're sometimes wondering, what sort of country are we? Have we really had a conversation on the kind of country that we really want to have?
Now.
What exactly is this how to behave? Everybody just does anything that they like,
without consequences.
Without consequences. And as you spoke about, you talked about how we have ghost workers, and not only do we have ghost workers, now we're having ghost agencies.
And we have a ghost agency.
Only God knows what we'll graduate to next time. But this particular ghost agency or this ghost commission, as the case might be, is something that has really boggled many, worried many Nigerians, so to speak. And I know that the president has asked the ICPC to investigate as well. 30 days they were given. I don't know if you are still keeping count. We'll be relying on him to do so. 30 days they were given by the president this month as well to make sure that they're able to fish out what exactly went wrong, how this was possible. But it appears that the National Assembly is not just, let me be more specific, the House of Representatives, because the Senate has shot the idea down. But the House of Representatives says, that they are going to investigate this matter, and they have started. The Accountant General of the Federation was before members of the National Assembly yesterday, members of the House of Reps specifically, and they say that, or he said that no government funds were released to the purported Presidential Economic Advisory Council despite requests for funding because there was no budgetary provision. Well, I don't know, that will wait to be seen. What the House of Reps is asking now is that the IGP produce this man, before them so that they can also ask, can ask him questions. Well, what do you make of the intervention of the House of Reps? Because one would think that when the president has asked that the ICPC investigate and come up with a report within a certain time frame, that should be sufficient. Why do you think it is important for the National Assembly to also look into this matter?
Well, to bring the matter to the open, really, because a lot of suspicion has gone into this matter. In fact, Nigerians are saying that ICPC cannot be trusted to carry out this investigation, and they're calling for an independent probe. And we try to tell people that, look, ICPC cannot be more independent than it is by statute.
Independent? It's in its name.
It's its name. As a matter of fact, all agencies of government are by statute supposed to be independent. But of course, we know we have political interference, fine, but they are independent. So what you can ask for in the alternative is an open probe, as we have seen in the House of Reps. And I think it's a healthy one. At least those of us outside that are not part of the ICPC probe are getting to see and try to make sense of the nonsense that has just happened in this situation. So I hope and pray that the IGP of police will release the young man to come to the house. Let us hear the side of the story. Let him come and substantiate what the allegations is made. Because I still feel that from all the document circulation, he's not been able to substantiate his own allegations against the chief of staff, for example. So you need to come now and substantiate it. You bring anything that links you to him. Because he is insisting that the evidence is not fake.
Is this going to be for the court of public opinion?
I think it helps the case even in court. Even though the DSS had concluded their own investigation between August last year, when the chief of staff reported this matter to them, and before he was slated to be arraigned in court sometime within the outgoing month. But it's a matter of public interest because this is one of a kind. I mean, we've not seen this scale. This is an all new, would I say an all new high, an all new low? I don't have to describe it, but this is something that is very novel. And so it's important that we have some public interest into it to understand how these things happen. And so far, the information I've been getting from the Accountant General's office, the Budget office, have been able to shed some light on what looks to be like a very mysterious issue. So I want to urge the IGP of Police, the fact that this man has the case in court. Let him come and state the same thing is likely going to take to court. If you have any defense, let him bring it to the public space and take him to court. There's nothing wrong with it. If you are accused, for instance, of a crime and you have your own defense, you can simply put it out in the media for people to see your side of the story before going to court. Bring whatever evidence you have or materials you have to show. But you didn't force yourself on this agency that were duly appointed by the appointing authority. And if you have a relationship or interactions with the chief of staff to the extent that can establish a prima facie case against him of bribery, also present whatever it is you have, no matter how little or trivial, present it. Let the public be able to judge. And takes him to court. So that's wrong.
Because perception is actually very important.
It's very important. Very, very important.
Well, Mr. Machidi, we can go on. Something also happened in the security sector. We understand the president has created new divisions for the Nigerian army, and hopefully that should help improve
troop strength, manpower, personnel, and materials. We also want to seek for more funding for even the existing formations. In terms of welfare for personnel, our troops are poorly paid, very poorly paid compared to other countries. An example is the fact that an entry-level rank and file soldier in the US, for instance, takes home annually over $24,000. If you compare that to their counterparts in Nigeria, I don't think let's not even do the comparison. So what that tells you is that somebody must be motivated enough to be able to put his life on the line for the Nigerian people, as they are doing now, and also improve on their equipment and other personnel. But again, it is commendable that the president are taking this step to increase the might of the state to contain insurgency, to contain insecurity, to contain terrorism. Now, for the past few weeks, since the Oriri massacre happened, I've not heard of non-kinetic approach to security. Something I don't like to hear at all. I've not heard about rehabilitation or the need to dialogue. So it tells me that the president may have taken a decision now to focus on his job as commander-in-chief by doing all that he can, including the state police formation, the expansion of the armed forces, the permission to recruit, forest guard by state governments. All of this, it tells me that the president is now acting as the commander-in-chief that is under emergency rule. So that is quite commendable. And we hope and pray that this will be sustained and that the Oriri experience will be replicated across the country. And that preventive measures will be put in place to make sure that Nigeria defeats terror, defeats abductions, defeats banditry once and for all.
If it's a national prayer, I'm certainly saying amen to that. I have to thank you very much for coming on Sunrise TV this morning. Majide Hero is a technical member of the Lookster Leadership Foundation, and he's been speaking out to us on a number of issues that have come up within our policy. Thank you once more for coming on Sunrise TV. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be focusing squarely on politics, particularly as it affects River State. Please stay with us. So sometime last week, we heard from the governor of River State, who has largely been quiet since his return from the 6-month suspension. Well, there was, of course, the political season where, where tickets were up for grabs. That is the primary season, and then we did see him then, go to the APC place for the primaries, and it appears that that did not go down as planned. And since that time, it's been some sort of quiet. But last week, he spoke up, and he said that he now supports the Rainbow Coalition existent in River State. There is some political contraption where it would seem that political parties, different political parties, are supporting the president and are supporting the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the state. And Mr. Fubara was on quote saying that he supports that particular coalition, and it was said that this is the first time he's coming out publicly to say where he truly stands with regards to his support for this coalition. And there are those who think that this is a betrayal of the support that he had when he ran into a bit of difficulty with his erstwhile godfather, who was the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, and they felt like he should have spoken up before now to his supporters who had his back when his travails were on. I'm just a little, well, this morning we're interrogating, how that now sits with supporters, or what the implications of that will mean for the continued political arrangements in River State. And joining us to look at this particular matter is Mr. Jacob Pele. He is not a politician, so to speak. He is known more in the NGO space, but he's observed very frontally the issues happening in River State. He's the founder of TAP Africa, and he joins us now to look at this issue. Mr. Pele, I know that, for months, especially while the travails of the governor was on, you were one of those seeking peace. You wanted a situation where the political actors put the interest of the state first. Was this what you had in mind when you made that appeal, and when you also pushed for it? Were you looking at the situation? Because we also know that during the political season, River State always comes into focus. Its issues are highlighted because the political struggles in that state sometimes they're so agitated, they tend towards the violent. Do you think first that we'll get to see that in this instance, or do you think that it has now been put to bed with the comments of the governor? Mr. Pele, I don't know if you heard me.
Well, Malta, thanks for having me. 1 week, 1 month, 1 Rivers people. Hear me. Malta, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I heard you loud and clear. So I was just responding to what you said, and the beautiful introduction that you made. Just to say that Fubara made a very consequential decision that I can only describe one of the most consequential since 2003 in the history of the political landscape of River State. However, whether anyone supports or opposes the decision that he made, it's something that history will play out. But my concern is the people of River State. Were they carried along? My concern is his teeming supporters, whether it's the youths, the political class, the political elites. These people put their political, social, and economic ambition on the line to support him. And all of a sudden, he made that decision. And like I said, it's his personal decision. And nobody can question his personal decision. But it's questionable when it has consequence on the people that you're leading, on the mandate that you were given. and the impact that would mean for a lot of people, And my question would be, did he think twice before he made that decision, or was it made on the platform of political convenience, or was it for his own personal interest? Only time will tell. But there is no doubt that the continuous state capture move of the FCT minister and all his political stooges is a continuum in River State. Anyone can fault me to say that I'm playing tribal card, which is not true. It is true that his intention is to hand over the governorship mandate and the governance to his cousin, who is a very good, I can describe him as a good friend of mine. I have nothing against him. And hopefully it will mean he would pursue governance and give us I hope he has his Christ can do. It's funny when people begin to allocate to themselves certain titles that they need to ask questions. They should ask late Buhari, who was referred to as Messiah, and what came out of his leadership. So we need to be very circumspect because when all these elephants are fighting, it's the grass that suffers and it's the people. And that's my thing, Malcolm. The people of River State bears the brunt.
Yes, can I ask you very pointedly, Mr. Pele, what exactly, if you can hear me, because your network is a bit wonky, but if you can hear me, what exactly are your fears for the people of River State?
My fears are, one, our resources are going to be in danger because there is no safeguarding mechanism. My concerns are governance will be a bit slow because I don't even trust that they will support him to deliver the dividends of good governance. I don't know whether my brother Fubara has thought twice the kind of people he's dealing with. He comes with a good conscience. He comes with a good motive to make peace, to reconcile. But are the people you're trying to reconcile with and trying to make peace with, are they really ready to make peace? That's the million-dollar question.
So you do not trust the peace process that has already been put in place, and even the statements of the governor. You think that there is still something to distrust, in spite of all that we've seen so far?
I don't see it. Well, I'm not a pessimist, but I try to be very pragmatic. I don't see it as a peace process. I see it as a pause that looks like peace. But then time will tell if truly and really they would allow him to govern. Time will tell. Yeah, time will tell. So definitely, I don't see much coming out of this. We've seen this play out in the past. Let's go through the trajectory. You will notice that there has been this cosmetic, view and open show of peace that eventually became very chaotic and very difficult to manage. So I pray that we get peace that is sustainable. But right now, it doesn't look to me like this is actually a true peaceful move, but a pause just to see whose political side that they will be. And I want to also use this opportunity to call on the Rivers people to continue to pursue peace, to continue to stay calm. At the end of the day, whatever God decides, who say don't bring God into this, I differ. God is in everything. He's in absolute control, and no man can thwart his will.
All right, I know Ayo has a question for you. Ayo, first.
Yes, indeed, Mawakwe. Just one question: is it a possibility, Ambassador Pele, that the challenges of leadership, the decisions that the leader of the status of the governor of Rivers State has to take, are generally likely to be misunderstood or not even understood by a good number of people? I was watching a video clip of Anthony Joshua, the world heavyweight boxer, yesterday, and was saying getting to the champion, becoming a champion is easier than staying a champion. So being in office is one thing, being relevant as a leader and taking decisions that may not be understood, that's another conversation altogether. Is it a possibility that there are some things that the governor cannot discuss, but then they informed some of the decisions that he has taken, including this one that's not hitting a good number of people well?
So you know better. You've been in leadership circle. You've been drinking from the cup of leadership expert, and you're a leadership expert yourself. You know that everything rises and falls on leadership. And the ability and the capacity of a leader to function maximally is tied to the influence of the people around him, the law of influence. It ties to the influence of the people around him. And when you have a leader that has been literally boxed into a corner and being dictated what happens and what doesn't happen, this is the kind of reaction that you get. In all of this, to be honest with you, I blame the president. And it's very disheartening that the president did not take a very pragmatic decision that reflects the will of Rivers people. He seems to be playing to the gallery when it comes to Mr. Wike. Mr. Wike is the sovereign son, and he's very particular about his wishes, and so the decisions that they are making in Abuja makes it practically impossible and uncomfortable for Fubara to truly and really govern the state. And there's nothing that anybody can do. And I'm being very practical here. There's nothing he could do. So when he decided he wasn't going to contest the primary, if he had contested that primary, he would have been a collusion to office. Was a decision that I applauded, And so, basically speaking, the challenge of leadership, the burden of leadership, when a leader is not allowed to lead, plays out in all of these scenarios. So there is indeed a leadership gap that we are seeing today. But then, a true leader comes to a point where if you know that someone is challenging you not to lead the way you want to lead, you bow out. It's not that the person gave up. It's just that there's certain, permit me to use the word, nonsense that you cannot take. And you're ready to throw in the towel and keep your dignity and integrity intact. And unfortunately, not everybody lives in different sphere and different way. But yes, thank you, Ayo, for bringing this up. There's a leadership question, and there's also bad leadership moves and decision making.
Mr. Pele, we'll continue to explore the implications of this decision and of course the series of decisions that have led us to where we currently are with Rivers State, as it is an ongoing conversation. Well, we have to thank you always for your interventions on this matter. Mr. J.K. Pele is the founder of TAP Africa and is also from River State. Thank you once more for speaking with us.
Thank you so much. And let's keep, mirroring what is happening in my state. It's unfortunately that it's us, the people, that are suffering and bearing the brunt of rascal political decisions.
All right. That's how we draw the curtains on today's program, Sunrise Daily. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Maokwe Ogunyiso.
And I'm Ayo Makine. Business Morning is on the hour. Enjoy the rest of your day.